Without a shadow of a doubt, it's the Cronkite Show in social media history. I want to welcome you to the War Zone. I got my co-host, Donovan Sadiq, the Queen, Demetra K, and I am the 5-star general. Say, man, down in Houston, these ragged-ass politicians something else. Say, man, I'm talking about a man, his family, some health issues, and some mold. We're going in tonight, dog. Say, man, I want to welcome you to the War Zone and tell you that it's always a pleasure to have you guys tuning in, because you could be doing anything else. We had a few technical difficulties, but it's not nothing we can't get around. So, with that being said, we're gonna get into it. Today you saw me do a live video from the graveyard. I did a live video from the graveyard. And I did that because somebody on city council decided to spread a rumor and say that I was dead. Look like I'm dead, huh? Well, I tell you what, while I was sitting in that graveyard, I had an epiphany, trying to figure out if they know Lucifer, because they about to meet him. So now 5-star ain't dead. I get to hang out every night with two of the most intelligent African Americans that I actually know. So, I'm not dead. I'm gonna turn it over to Demetra, and you can go at it. What's going on, Demetra?
So, hello, beautiful people. I hope you all are having a wonderful day. We're having a little bit of feedback. You guys are having a wonderful day on this Monday evening. We have so much to talk about. We are going to wait for, actually our guest, as Gary said, is going to join us via the phone because he was having some technical difficulties. So we'll get into that in just a few. But I don't know if you guys have got a chance to read and see that the footage from the police officers regarding George Floyd's arrest was actually, it wasn't released, it was leaked. And I believe it was the Daily Mail that was in receipt of that. I admittedly did not watch the video. I have not watched the original video because I can't bring myself to do it. But I did read all of the, I guess what came from the videos, and it's horrible. It's even worse than we thought. I guess on the video, and they showed still pictures of George's face, and you can see just sheer terror on his face. He was telling them that, please don't put me in a police car. And I'm paraphrasing, but please don't put me in a police car. I'm claustrophobic. I have, really bad anxiety. Please don't shoot me. He says, I think I'm going to die. I'm just going to die, regarding what they were doing to him. You can see King, the young police officer, who, as he was kneeling or on his back, rather, I was helping to restrain him, he was nonchalantly picking like some debris from George's tire on the car, because as you remember, George was on the ground by his vehicle, and the officer, was just kind of like la-di-da, just kind of like, I could have had a V8 or, wonder what's for dinner type of thing. As George is saying, I can't breathe, I'm gonna die, tell my kids I love them. He was, calling for his mother. And so he wasn't resisting, as some people said. It's kind of a gray area. He wasn't like a problem resisting. He was just like, hey, I don't want to go in the back of the car. I'm claustrophobic, that type of thing. So it wasn't being non-cooperative, I guess, if that makes any sense. But the officers showed no regards for him at all. In fact, it even shows that one of the officers, Lane, I think the other officer's name is, he pointed a gun at George's head right from the start. Right when he approached the car, he had a gun pointed at his head, and you could see the fear And the terror on George's face, like, don't shoot me. He says, I've been shot before. Please don't shoot me. And so, in my opinion, the new evidence that was actually leaked, because it sounds like they didn't want to release the video because I guess they didn't want to taint, I guess, the potential jury pool, if you will. But it was leaked for whatever reason, and so now it's out. And in my opinion, it doesn't do the officers any. It doesn't do them any good at all. To me, it actually is worse, and that they could have handled the situation a lot better. They didn't even say, from what I read, they didn't even tell them why they were arresting him at all. Never, read him his rights or any of the formal stuff that one would do during an arrest. And so, it's not good. It's not good at all. So, as I said, I couldn't bring myself to watch it because just to look at on George's face in the pictures, said enough to me. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. Also, I guess I'll keep going. Also, as you guys know, the nation is facing this big giant eviction thing that's going on. The moratorium expired on this Saturday. It says that 40 million Americans are facing eviction. The CDC is also warning that this is probably going to be a very brutal winter that we are going to face because, as you guys know, we are still smack dab in the middle of the COVID. We also have regular flu season that's going on. And so people losing their homes without any governmental assistance or the Congress rather coming to some sort of agreement, it is going to cause the homelessness rate to uptick greatly. And the big problem is because a lot of times people think, well, it's kind of jacked up that the homeowners, the landlords, if you will, they're going to put these people out on the street. But the other side of that is the homeowners or the landlords, they have a mortgage to pay too. And so they're also in danger of losing their homes because nobody is helping them, to cushion the blow that they are facing. So it's just mean trickle down that really screws everybody involved due to something that wasn't their fault at all.
Right. But, wouldn't you think that the government, knowing that this is a pandemic, would give the money to the landlords, knowing that, a lot of us are going to take the money and not do what we're supposed to do with it? I mean, I'm not saying they shouldn't, but, it's almost like when you leave and go on vacation and you give you leave your keys to your car and you're in Hawaii for 2 weeks. What do you think your teenage kids are going to do? They're going to take the car and go joyriding, whatever they're going to do. So I'm not saying it's our fault, whatever the deal is, but I think that if these are our best people representing us in Congress, we're in trouble because they're not thinking this out at all.
Yeah. So, as the time that we came on here, Congress still hasn't reached any agreement at all for the unemployment, for the moratoriums on the evictions or any of that. And so people are just really biting their nails as to what is going to go on. And in fact, the article that I read said that the crisis, the eviction crisis, is actually going to be close to that, if not worse, than the 2008 recession, when a lot of people actually suffered. And as far as the housing crash, it's going to be just as bad as that if Congress does not act. And so again, a lot of times we kind of chastise people. I guess it's just me, you guys. So hello, welcome to the Demetra K Show. A lot of times, people chastise other people or people who are getting evicted and saying, well, you should have paid your rent or you should have did this. And we told you should. But it's not always that easy, but I think we should also focus on the big picture. And the big picture is most of those people who are getting ready to get evicted, that is not their fault. And I know some of you people don't want to hear this, but the fault lies at the feet of President Donald Trump, because he stuttered in calling this thing a pandemic. He, at first said it was a hoax and it's not that big of a deal. We don't want to shut down the economy, behind what is going on. And eventually they have to do it. And then we started to see the fallout from the economy, with businesses being closed and things like that. And we're still seeing it, and it's not getting any better. And so I just think that we should think twice before we castigate or make fun of people who are about to lose their homes due to no fault of their own. And yeah, they say people should have 3 to 6 months of savings. Yeah, you should. But a lot of times that's not possible for people to have, 3 to 6 months. And let's say those people did have 3 months. Well, hell, we've been going through this, since roughly March, and it's August now. So, we're almost at the end of that 3 to 6 month cushion anyway. And so, again, it's not their fault, and the government needs to make a move. This is their baby, and they need to fix it. So anyway,
yeah, well, absolutely, they need to fix it. But what I'm saying is, well, what they should have done is what they do for Section 8 people. You pay the landlord, and that way people aren't going to be thrown out in the streets. Now, here we are in a pandemic, and common sense says, okay, you don't want people in the street. That's going to make the situation even worse. And they didn't do that, and now foreclosures are starting to happen. I'm not saying it's people's fault. I'm saying the people that we have representing us don't give a shit about us, and that's where the problem lies.
Right. So it looks like we're ready to rock and roll, Gary.
Yeah, I just want to chime in on that. I agree with y'all to a certain degree. And I still say that even on this show, we kept telling people pay your bills, and pay your bills. Now, if you're getting an extra 600 and an extra 200 or whatever you're getting, pay your bills. And that's all it boils down to. But you keep voting for them Democrats, that's what you're gonna get. Well, let's rock and roll.
Oh.
All right. Since we sitting at them, we talking about Democrats, we're gonna come on down to Harris County. Met this young man through somebody else. His name is Spencer Farwell. And Spencer is a good father. He's a great husband. And he's a poor guy that lives over in the 4-4 where the mayor come from, Acres Home. Well, Spencer had an apartment complex, and if I get this wrong, Spence, if I get this wrong, you correct me. They were living in an apartment complex that happened to be built on top of a landfill. They did not know. All of a sudden, Spencer's wife's health started deteriorating. It started deteriorating. And Spence decided he would try to get some help. He reached out to some prominent politicians, almost everybody on city council, who never returned his calls. He reached out to the Honorable Sheila Jackson Lee, who ignored him. And this has been going on for 3 years. Spence, welcome to the show, and give us some insight on what actually happened.
Can you hear me? Can y'all hear me? Okay. Well, in 2015, I moved my family to a complex on Tidwell called the Founders at Tidwell. And after moving them in, after about 6-7 months, she started showing signs of, coughing and showing signs of she couldn't breathe. And she was working 2 jobs. And at that time, I thought that maybe she was working too much. So I made her quit one of her jobs, and by the time March got here, that's when she took sick. I took her to the first emergency room. All right. I took her to the emergency room. They say she had pneumonia back in 2016. So they said she had pneumonia from 2016, 2017. They say she had pneumonia. And so I took her to about 5 emergency rooms. And give me 1 second. Excuse me. Give me 1 second. Can y'all hear me? Y'all gonna have to bear with me. But I took it to like 4 or 5 emergency rooms, man. And after I thought about it, one of my friends told me, man, go check that apartment for mold. And so once I went in, I did a Home Depot mold test. Come to find out, they told me it was an abundance of mold present. So I gave a copy to Candace Rogers in the office. So they sent ServPro out, and they really just vacuumed the apartment, cleaned the vents, painted the vents, and told her that her apartment was safe to go back in. So I took it back
stop
home.
right there.
All right.
Stop right there.
Okay.
So they said it wasn't any mold in the apartment, right?
They told me it was no mold in the apartment.
Demetri, can you show us some of what the apartment looked like? Because they said it was no mold. And they even gave you documentation saying that it was no mold. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's correct. August the 16th.
But go
Yeah,
ahead. Demetri will get it
in
up.
August, they called out ServPro, and they said they didn't see no signs of mold, no signs of moisture in the wall, but we recommend y'all clean the HVAC system. And they failed to clean the HVAC system. Instead, they sent her back in saying that it was all good. January 17, she took sick again. I took her back to Herman. This when I called Aggie inspectors out. Aggie inspectors told me to get them out until the apartment addressed this issue. So in January, I moved them into a hotel where they stayed from January, February, March, April. We was out in the hotel all those months, back and forward to the doctor. At one time, she had that pneumonia and flu on top of that. And my daughter with the kidney disease had her kidney disease and flu on top of that. So it was me and my baby and my son. We lived in a hotel trying to get help from the apartment complex. To this day, since 17, they've never even tried to come help. They never called to check on my wife, none of that. All right. So Candace Rogers.
Who actually owns the apartment complex?
It's a pastor in our neighborhood that owns this apartment complex.
What's his name?
His name is Isaac Matthews.
Isaac Matthews. And this apartment complex was built on a landfill. Am I correct?
That's correct.
All right, keep going.
All right. After I did that first mold test, the second mold test in January, it gave it to Candace. They came in and really pulled the same stunts. This time, I recorded everything that they did in the apartment. I recorded. They tried to get rid of the evidence. I recorded them. So she called my wife and told her that her unit was ready again. This time I recorded her. So instead of me sending her back to the apartment, I sent her back to the Bella Hotel, and I called Aggie inspectors back out. This time I took the bench down. And it was the second mold test was worse than the first one. I'm talking about the apartment was exaggerated with mold everywhere, all in the ductwork, all in the HVAC system. Still to this day, man, I haven't got any help from them. And it's like now my family don't live on that property anymore, but it's so many people that's still over there that's about to go through the same thing I went through. And all I'm trying to do, man, just reach out and tell the pastor, man, just do what's right, man. You know what I'm saying?
So did you reach out to your elected officials?
Oh, the elected officials reach out to?
Yeah, who did you reach out to?
The first, I reached out to A. Jefferson Smith first of all. I reached out to her because I thought we were like not family, but real close because she's my god sister cousin. And I went through her through my god sister. She called her and told her about my situation. Ray Jefferson Smith came to my rescue like I thought she would, but instead of her coming to my rescue, she was really coming to see what all I had on this guy. She was supposed to come help me at Texas Children's Hospital with my daughter once her kidneys failed. She was supposed to come help me with another set of apartments that we were living in. Right after that one, they had hidden mold. But instead of concentrating on my daughter, when she found that Matthew was involved, she said, send me everything on both of them. So I sent her everything. And come to find out, Matthew sponsored the campaign. That's why she turned a blind eye. I reached out to Sheila Jackson Lee, not once, on several occasions. She never even responded to not one of my cries for my daughter and my family. I sent her a privacy form act she never responded to. She sent me to the Mickey Leland building downtown, talked to a guy named, which turned out to be a bunch of baloney. He said he was going to contact Matthews and try to make him do what's right, because, I heard nothing from that. Second person I reached out to after the session called, Letitia Plummer. After she saw that video that you just put up, after she saw that, she sent me a phone number, told me, Spencer, here's my number, call me. I do anything to help you, because this is unacceptable. So I called her. She told me she was having a Zoom meeting. She called me. I haven't heard anything from her to today. And that was June. That was like June the 17th, right after the session call. I reached out to Tasha
Demetri,
Jackson.
play that video.
I reached out to her while they were having their little campaign here at the market. And I said that on side of her. And I showed her all of this stuff. I talked about this land fee. To this day, I want to keep this stuff to the rug. And it's affecting my family now, so I can't leave the SWIP under the rug because I got to watch my daughter hook up to a dialysis machine every day and listen to her mom cough her lungs out. Out of every minute, she coughs 10 seconds out of every minute that passes. She 5 times her weight. She can't walk right now. Last week she had to go to the clinic to get steroid shots in her knee.
So Spencer,
ma'am.
Spencer, can you hear us, Spencer? Yes. So what we're gonna do now is play the video. It's a little compilation. It's about a minute long. The video that you sent us. So we're gonna play that right now. Is there a way that you can put your phone
mute your phone, Spence? Hold on, Demetri. I muted him. Go with it.
All right. So here's the video. All right, so Spencer, I don't know if you're still there, but I'm assuming that was your personal video. Oh, you put him on mute. You can unmute him.
Can you hear me?
Yes. So was that your personal video? Was that the video you took of your apartment?
Yes.
Okay. So
it's my wife's apartment. Her and my kids. They were on Section 8 housing.
Okay, you said you're no longer living there. And it also sounds like you reached out to, we're having a lot of echo. Okay, I just kind of want to make a clarification for everybody who is watching. So basically, Spencer, that was your the house that you used to live in. And that was your video of all the mold and I guess things that had collected in the facility or the unit. And it sounds like from the letter that we saw, they did an inspection. They being, I'm not quite sure, we'll get a clarification on that. But it sounds like they did an inspection and said that everything was fine. But per the video that we just watched, clearly things aren't fine. To me, it appears to be mold. And you also said that you reached out to several city council members and they acknowledged you at first, but you're yet to hear back from them. Is that correct? We saw they did an inspection. They being, I'm not quite sure, we'll get a clarification on that. But it sounds like they did an inspection and said that everything.
That's right.
Got it. Okay. So, and I want to also, Gary, were you trying to say something?
I was asking him to turn his volume down on his other phone.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, if you have another phone, if you could turn it off. So
That's
that
correct.
way.
That's correct.
Okay. So if I'm not mistaken, it sounds like the property was built on or near a landfill with some toxic stuff going on there. Is that what I'm understanding? Got it. Okay. So, and I want to also, Gary, when you're trying to say
Spence, you have to turn your volume down on your phone. All right, go, Dimitri.
Yeah, I got
yes.
one phone acting up. I'm watching it, listening to volume on one.
Yeah, it's just kind of hard to conduct an interview. There's a lot going on, Gary. So maybe you can help because you know a little bit more
right.
about.
All right, let me jump in here. He reached out to several city council people. They basically ignored him. He reached out to the Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. She's basically ignored him for 3 years.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. This is the problem that I have with it, and I need people to understand. We already have a cancer cluster issue in Fifth Ward. They ain't doing nothing about that. Now, I want people to understand, you don't like Trump, I get it, you don't like the Republicans, so we ain't gonna talk about them right now. We're talking about a predominantly black neighborhood that is controlled by black Democrats. And this man reached out, wife can't walk at this point. Child is on dialysis, kidney failure. And not one politician reached back. So when Spence reached out to me, I reached out to his state rep, which was Jarvis Johnson. Me and Spence did a Zoom call with Jarvis, I think about 3 days ago. As soon as I reached out to Jarvis, he reached back. And that's his normal. That's how Jarvis get out. So whatever Jarvis can do, Jarvis Johnson, state rep for the Acres Homes area, Jarvis is gonna do it. But what's so sad is that the city council people that represent that district have not done a damn thing. And when you reach out to these people, they blatantly ignore you. You're not important. And we talking about this man's wife is basically deteriorating and she's dying in front of him, and he's fighting to do everything that he can do to save his family. So when he reached out to the OG, y'all already know what it is. And I'm finna give him the business. So y'all like to watch my show and you like to make your comments and all that. If y'all don't get off your ass and help this man, it'll make your asses very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. He's not asking you for a turkey. He's asking you for some help.
Okay, so let me ask this, and there's a little bit of feedback in the background. Still, are they still living there?
Spence, are y'all still living in the complex, or did you move? Spence, are you guys still living in the complex, or did you move?
Is he frozen?
No, he's not
There he goes.
frozen.
Starting to move.
No, we're not living there anymore. No, we were forced out in 2017. April 2017, we were forced out.
Okay, so they were forced out in 2017.
Move.
So and let me just
Can you hear me?
get a little more, yes, we hear you. So let me get a little bit more clarification. What are you looking for them being your representation, whether city council or your state rep? What are you looking for them to do?
I think he has a delay. Spence, can you hear us? I don't know.
Gary, at this point, I think we might have to remove him from the feed so that we can continue the show. I think we might have enough information. Maybe you could correspond with him over the phone, but
Run it.
all right. So I guess what we need to find out is, so we know, and let's just do a recap. And you guys forgive us. So our technology, this is live and in color. So sorry about that. So it sounds like he was living in a unit, a house where there was mold, and his wife and his child got really ill. It sounds like his wife is severely ill. And he's reached out to a whole bunch of people, and a whole bunch of people say, yeah, but they actually haven't done anything. And so now we're to the point where we're trying to find out what he wants done. But while we're trying to get him back on the phone or somewhere we can at least get that answer, this is why it's very important to really know who it is you're voting for, because we only see a lot of these politicians on a larger scale, but we don't see them actually deal with, and I'm not saying little people to demean him, but we don't see them deal with the people who are really in the community, that like the residents and things like that. And we don't see the real issues. Like, this is a real issue, right? You got a letter saying that there was no mold, where our eyes clearly see, if that was the unit in the video, which you said it is, we clearly see that there's a problem. So the question is, why is it taking all of these city council people and state representatives so long? And I guarantee you, he's not the only resident that's going through that. Like Gary, you said, sounds like cancer is a huge issue in the 5th Ward. And is that due to landfills or chemicals or something going on around there? Like, what is going on? You mentioned to me that Aaron Brockovich visited there some time ago. Can you talk to us about that?
Well, they had a big cancer cluster thing, and they brought Aaron Brockovich down here, and which I thought was a dog and pony show, because it's always the same thing. They bring people down here, parade them around, and they don't get nothing done. I think the biggest question should be is, how is this pastor even able to build this apartment complex on top of a landfill? Now, if you go back and you look at, remember the the Harris County Housing Authority, HHA, in the interviews that Wayne Dolosafino did in regards to the crookedness that was going on. Remember, they wanted to build low-income housing on top of contaminated land. This is the normal in the city of Houston. So these city council people know this is going on, and they don't have a problem with it going on because this is the way that they line their their pockets. This is how they make their money off of the demise of poor black people and poor Latino people.
So are they building those structures like that in white communities?
Hell no. And you know they not.
Why not?
Because they white communities. They ain't got a liquor store on every corner. They ain't got one of the more crooked ass churches on every half a block. So what they do in our community, they would never do in a white community.
Right.
But then you got to also remember in the white community, that's normally controlled by my good friends, the Republicans.
All right. Now, let's dissect this a little bit. So we know that they would never, well, you know, for the most part, they would never build anything like that in white communities, right? And we know that. Now, I know all three of us has been to at least one city council meeting. And a lot of times in these meetings, they discuss these type of things where this is going to go, that's going to go. And as I said to you guys before, the city council meetings that I've attended, I usually see white people being proactive, and I see black people being reactive. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is when, let's say white people or live in these white neighborhoods, if you will, when they hear that something unfavorable is going to move or potentially move into their neighborhoods, they show up in mass numbers to say, hell no, not in our neighborhood. But we, on the other hand, and I'm not saying this is Spencer's issue, but we, on the other hand, when the thing, whatever the thing is already built, then we go and show up and say, oh my God, we got this and that, and we already got too many weed clinics and pawn shops, and now you built an apartment building on this landfill that's killing people. So that's part of the issue. We kind of wait too late, and then it's like, well, what do you want us to do? It's already there. You want us to just mow it down?
Right. Real quick, for a lot of people, going to the city council, yes, that is like the final approving authority, depending on what kind of charter your city is. So a big thing like Houston, I'm very sure you have to go to the city council. But like in my city, when it comes to certain projects, I've seen people actually show up at city council, hooping and hollering about a project that's coming down the pipe. Come to find out, they're at the wrong meeting. You're supposed to be at the planning commission to put in your protest. Because by the time it gets to city council, it's already a wrap. So a lot of people say, well, where do you go if you don't know what to do? You got activists like the 5 Star. You call them up and say, hey, this is my situation. This is my problem. And he'll tell you what meeting to go to. Because I get calls like that all the time. What meeting am I supposed to go to? Where do I need to go? Because it doesn't give a damn what you do if you're at the wrong meeting. We have people from the school board show up at the city council meeting. We're all telling these people, what are you doing here? We're trying to conduct city business. You gotta really know and get involved in your local politics, because by the time you figure it out, it's a wrap.
Well, I'm gonna step on some toes, me, because you got a lot of people dying over in Fifth Ward from cancer. Now you got these apartment complexes being built on landfills, contaminated land, and you can see it in my face that it bothers me. It bothers me. So you ragged ass politicians, you ragged ass Democrats, this is what you do to us. This is what you do to our people. And you don't give a damn if they die real quick, fast, and in a hurry. As long as you make your money, you could care less. This old stinking ass mayor that we got, he ain't worth a damn either. Because he knows all of this is going on. How could you sit there and allow somebody's wife just to die in front of them and you don't even do anything? Is it that important for you to be a politician and not give a damn about the people that put you in there? This is heartbreaking, man.
Lobbyists speak the loudest and get heard the most when the people are quiet. I just made that up right now, okay? I'm coining that, okay? It's just the truth. We know that lobbyists, they they dish out all the money. And they dish it out to the people who are making decisions. And no shade to anybody. I'm not to us. His wife's life is important. But to those politicians, especially the ones that are getting their pockets greased, her life is not worth more than they'll get paid. They know good and hell well that they're building, apartment buildings on land that they shouldn't be building it on, but they know. And my mom used to always hate when I say this. If you want to hide something from Black people, put it in a book. And so I say that to say is a lot of times we won't get knowledgeable about the things that are going on right under our very noses. We fall for the turkeys and the toy giveaways, and that's a tax write-off to those people. They're not really doing that out of the goodness of their hearts. They're doing that for one as a tax write-off, and they're doing it so people can get that fluffy feel good. Ooh, I just love my city councilman. He give us free turkeys every year, child. I don't know what I was gonna do, and here he come with a turkey. And so we fall for that kind of stuff. Yeah,
Demetria, what was the developer giving in my city every Saturday?
Tri-tip sandwiches. And people, especially us, Black folks got up, he's wonderful. Ooh, he's just so nice. And it's like, really? But this man is tearing up the city. He has turned this into an industrial warehouse where the property of homes are going down because there's trucks going in and out, causing a whole host of issues. But you got a free tri-tip sandwich, though.
Well, let me read Al's comment. There's plenty of trash in the ditches that the Fifth Ward residents throw and lay in the streets. And they throw trash in River Oaks, and they go through and they pick that shit up for them. So the bottom line, the same shit we do is the same shit they do. They make sure they have the services that they need, everything. But see, the issue is the people that represent them, they get on their asses. And they gonna get out there and do what they need to do to make sure that those neighborhoods look a certain way. But I guess we don't pay a lot of property tax. I guess we don't matter. That's bullshit.
But let me actually jump on the back of Al's comment there. So he says there's plenty of trash in the ditches that the Fifth Ward residents throw and lay in the streets. And then to your point, Gary, say, well, in other neighborhoods, they pick it up. Well, the question is, why do they pick it up? Because but I would say this too. Out here, especially, I see the same thing in certain neighborhoods. Now, I don't want to get into the neighborhood of being stereotypical, but we know, and like I said, I've gone to city council meetings, and I've always seen the same thing. White people who live in those neighborhoods, now they've had a couple of Black people with them, but they're like, hell no. Or you didn't do this and you didn't do that. But we just kind of like, I hate to say it, step over the garbage. My father once told me when I had moved into a not so good neighborhood, when I had my first apartment, there was some garbage like kind of outside of my door. And he came to visit and he was like, get me a broom. I said, for what? And he was like, I'm going to sweep up the garbage. I said, oh no, Daddy, we have a janitor. He says, let me tell you something. He says, the ghetto is not where you live. The ghetto is in your mind. He said, don't you ever let me come over here again and step over no trash. He says, I don't care whose job it is to pick it up. You live here. You're going to track over this trash and track this right into your house. And I never forgot that at 21 years old. Never did I forget that. So the point that I'm making is that is on us to some degree. Like, for one, we keep electing these people. And two, we just kind of like, hey, there's trash. Like, well, how about take your Black ass to the city council meetings and turn up until they get the point, until something is done about it, and maybe go knock on some of these doors. Because from what I understand, it's not even really the residents as much in the Fifth Ward that's doing that. It's people who drive through that don't live there and just dump garbage because they just, for whatever reason, feel like that's the place to do it.
Well, let me say this here. I'd have been to school board meetings where I'd have seen my good white friends move mountains. Because whatever that issue may be, it's 500-600 of them in there. And you can count the Negroids. It ain't but 6 of us. No matter what the issue may be, we ain't finna show up like that. And we keep complaining about our situation. You see what I'm saying? At the end of the day, stop voting these sorry ass people in. Now, I'm going to say this here because I've never disrespected the Congresswoman, you know, Sheila Jackson Lee. You need to get off your ass and call this man. That's in your fucking district. It's in your district. I don't give a damn if you get mad and don't never speak to me again. Get off your good, braided, twisted up hair ass and call this man because his wife is dying. If not, we're going to work our ass off to get you up out of there. And I don't know how y'all could go keep voting for these people when they ain't doing jack shit for you.
And that is one of the major issues. You know, we just keep on voting them in, or a lot of times we get sidetracked by thinking the national election is the major one, which it is, where we think, you know, it's the most important one, or I'm going to show up to vote for the president, but I'm not going to show up to vote. I mean, come on, just look at some of these city council elections. A lot of those people get in, or they're not challenged because people just don't show up. And they just, some people even go unchallenged, and they just keep getting elected by, I guess, default, if you will, because the people don't care. But then when you talk to a Mr. Spencer, and then you hear about his situations, like that's why people should show up. So to make these council people, or the people responsible for that district, actually give a damn. I mean, like I said, a lady is fighting for her life, and they're just like, well.
Well, it gets deeper because Spencer did file a lawsuit, and the lawsuit has been hung up in the courts for 3 years. Now, let me tell you how that worked. Them same old ragged ass judges, and y'all watching me right now, I'm calling y'all out. I'm calling y'all out. Your ragged asses is bought and paid for by them goddamn politicians. So you'll just sprint, just drag this along. But the same way Spencer's uncomfortable, I'm finna make a whole bunch of y'all uncomfortable. Either get off your ass, call this man and see if you can help him, or I'm coming to breakfast on all you motherfuckers. Because I'm sick of y'all, man. And this is, you can be mad at me. This is why I can't fuck with these Democrats no more. Because this is what they do to us. And the only thing you get out the deal is in November is a stinking ass turkey. You get a turkey out the deal. We don't want no turkey. We want some help for this man. Now, Pastor, I want you to understand I got a brand new bullhorn, and I'm coming to church Sunday morning. I'm coming to church Sunday morning, homeboy. Get on the phone, figure this out. Keep me out your business, or I'm going to fuck your collection plate up.
Yeah, you know, in the comments, I've been kind of telling you guys some of the playbooks that these developers especially use. And, you know, in my city, he's giving the tri-tip dinners. He's putting citizens on the payroll. So if you're from Mexico and illegal, you know, he's paying you $50 a night to come to city hall and just cheer and scream for a project that, you know, he's trying to build, right? Now, how are you going to get up there and speak, and you need an interpreter? We have no way to know that these people actually live in the city, but they're allowed to speak, which is fine. But these are some of the tactics they use to make it seem like overwhelmingly the citizens want this project. Now, the biggest thing that these developers use, other than political donations to control your council, they donate to the district attorney's office. So a lot of stuff that they're doing, even though it's wrong, how serious do you guys think the district attorney is going to investigate allegations of a toxic waste dump in the city of Houston that a developer developed homes on? He's not going to be serious about it at all. He's going to slow walk it. And that's what's happening, I'm going to assume, in this incident.
Let's switch gears for a second. Now, I've been watching these things come in all day in the inbox, so I'm going to go back. Demetri, can you tell us exactly what Orlandis Guyton is talking about with the Ice Cube thing?
Oh, Okay, so earlier, Marcus, he sent us some video of Ice Cube, who was on the Breakfast Club. I think it was last week or the week before or something like that, where he was talking about a black agenda, if you will. He says that he, has or will put it together, something simple that everybody can get on board with and, go forward with it. And one thing I would say about Ice Cube is Ice Cube has always been about that life. Always. He's not, been one of those people who's like, well, I'm going to be over here, caping for white supremacy, and then I'm going to wake up. He's always been awake. And if you guys follow him on Twitter, he quotes the minister quite a bit, right? He's like, I'm with the minister. Forget what you're talking about. But specifically, he's talking about a black agenda because he's asking for reparations too. He's like, y'all need to pay us, run us our money. It's time that y'all run us our money. And Ice Cube is well versed on, why we need our money. In regards to the wealth gap, it's going to take us 232 years to catch up to that of white wealth. And we need that infusion of cash via reparations. And so you guys can, I don't know where, Marcus, if you could put it up, I don't know if you could put it up in the link, in the comment section, the video of Ice Cube with the Breakfast Club, but he's talking about why we want our money.
You want me to put it up?
Oh, you want me to put it up?
You don't have to put it up.
No, Marcus to put the link in the comment section, not to put it up because it's a little bit longer than we want to spend watching it. So, but they can check it out. But that's what he's saying. He's saying we want our money.
But we've been saying we want our money. You say it every day. Donovan say it every day. I ain't got nothing but love for Q. Love him to death. He, like you say, he always been about that life. Now, some of them people he finna affiliate himself with, I ain't rocking with them. Because they ain't nothing but talk. They ain't nothing but talk.
Who are you about to talk with?
The way we gonna get our money is simple. Stop spending our money. If we stop spending our money, we get anything we want. You're not gonna get it just because the black agenda has always been there. It's been there. You see what I'm saying? But you gotta force the issue from a different angle. So if you take your economic wealth and you subtract it from the United States of America, then you'll get what you want. This is why a lot of people are screaming, we need to open the economy. Because people ain't making money. They're not making money. So if we can hold our money, we can get anything we want. Anything. Reparations, anything. But if Joe Biden president, he already say he ain't about that life.
Well, just to be honest, Trump ain't made no moves for getting Negroes reparations either.
Well, I go back to the Negro president.
Really?
First term, supermajority, never even brought up the conversation.
Well, so true indeed. No president is really interested in getting or helping Black people get reparations.
But they ain't got a problem when they going over there tearing up them other people countries and sending money over there to fix their shit up. They take care of them. You see what I'm saying? They just won't take care of us. And that's all it boils down to.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up because I was on the Demetra K show yesterday. And I don't know if you guys that follow me on my page. On my page a couple of weeks ago, I put up, would they support reparations if they gave every one of us $1, which would come up to about $28 million. Nobody responded. They won't even give us $1 freaking dollar. And that's a fact.
we'll get our money when we get on the same page, just like everybody else gets their stuff. If we get on the same page and stop having all these schisms and thinking it's about party lines and this, that, and the other. For one thing, we need our own party. We need to stop getting involved with the Republicans and the Democrats. Let's form our own party. That way, either party, because we know the Democrats and the Republican Party, they're pretty much the ruling party. Is going to be one or the other. If we formed our own party, then they would have to court us, if you will. And that goes by saying, well, what do you guys want? What do you want? And then they'll start to listen. And another thing, Gary, like you said, we need to hold on to our black dollars and practice group economics, because when we rob this white supremacist system of our black dollars, then they hurt as well. Everybody you can think of eats off of the black community because we are predominantly consumers and not producers. Everybody, you think of one other race, they eat off of black people. So the minute we shut it down economically, then they'll start saying, okay, Negroes, what do you want? But until then, it's just gonna, hey, you know what? How about we give you a turkey this Thanksgiving?
Right. You know, I just have a quick question for Mr. Spence to like sum it up a little bit. So, did he move into a new house? I mean, what is the conclusion? Where are we at right now in the process of Mr. Spence?
Unmute your mic, Spence.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. Right now, my family is living in another moldy situation. It ain't even Acres Home. It's off of Walters Road.
So is that the same district? The Fifth Ward?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that district, but like right now, her lease is up, and it's time for her to get her a new move package to try to get her a new place. And I'm praying to God that I can come up with some money to where she can get her a house instead of trying to go back to this apartment, because it's been an apartment. She moved from Tidwell to Airline to Northline Drive, a Northline apartment homes, and it had hidden mold inside. That's where my daughter's kidneys failed. So they left the pastor's place, went to Northline Drive that belongs to a company called Allied Orion Group. Her kidneys failed. Some more people that's just putting their feet on my neck. We can't breathe. So
this is what I want to ask you, Gary, because you're more familiar with the politics out there. I mean, I know the answer, but maybe you know a little bit more. Why are they allowing these slumlords to get away with that? Sure.
Can I say something? Because we don't have laws to make them pay for it. We don't have laws here in Texas. If this case was in California, it wouldn't. They have strict laws in California all up around there, but down here in Texas, we don't have nothing like that here. That's why the slumlords get away with what they get away with. They quick to tell you to take me to court, sue me.
You got to also remember, Demetri, if you look at campaign finance reports of these politicians, they get busloads of money from these slumlords. So they're not going to do anything. You know, I just think that, you know, they're going to run into the right somebody, and somebody going to slap shit out one of them.
So, I mean, that Jesus Christ, that's a huge issue. I mean, how is it that you move from one apartment to another and it's the same issue? They're like,
yes.
But the thing is that we have to remember, she's on housing.
She's on housing. So
that when you move from one to another, you damn near everything that housing got damn near is mold infested.
That's right.
Or it's messed up.
It's messed up. And I'm gonna tell you one reason they don't want the men there in the house housing, because of this situation. They can manipulate the women. They can make the women do what they want them to do. But like when I went over there, I don't live there, but you know, my family there. So every day I went there. And so from March March of 17, when she first took sick, I was there every day on the property from March until they forced us off. They forced me off because I was getting so much evidence. I was taking pictures. I was doing, you know what I'm saying? Talking to my neighbors, finding other people that was sick over there. If they go to the office and tell and report Mo, Candace Rogers, she'll tell them she's going to get them kicked off housing. Or she'll tell them, what about that dude you got laying up in there? Threaten them that way, just so they won't say nothing about the mold. I just need help, y'all. I just need help. And at this point, right now, Selena's doing so bad right now. She can't walk. It takes her 15 minutes to get out of her car and go into her house.
I'm gonna say
it was so bad. One of her neighbors came and brought her a walker. She's embarrassed because she's so young. You know what I'm saying? Don't want to be on no breathing machine. Don't want to walk on no walker because she don't feel like it's time for her yet.
So let me say,
ma'am.
James Baldwin says, anyone who has ever struggled with poverty knows how extremely expensive it is to be poor, right? And so I say that to say that especially when you're Black and poor in America, you know, there's this assumption that even that if you're on housing, if you will, take what you get. You know, it doesn't have to be up to standard. Well, I've never been on housing and I don't know that much about it, but I'm assuming the landlord who I guess gets into the Section 8 program, if you will, it sounds like they are getting all of their money. Am I right?
Yes, up front.
Yeah, so they're getting all
never late.
Well, I'm saying getting all their money, I guess. So let's say they're renting, the total rent is $800. The tenant may be paying $2, but the government somewhere is paying $6, right? Is that how it works?
That's how it works.
So the point that I'm making is they're getting all of their money, but for some reason they think that they should be able to shortchange the people who live there. And so this is why it is very important for us as Black people, excuse my French, to get our shit together. This is why we need to get our shit together so that we can help each other. This man is pleading for the life of his family, and we as Black people, all we can do is listen. Where is the collective? Let's say these politicians never answer the call. Where is the Black collective to say, hey, brother, we got you. We know of a place or somewhere where your family can be safe from this, you know, these horrible living conditions. Because at some point, we got to start pointing the finger to ourselves. These politicians, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, they never gave a damn about Black people unless it's on election day. Because if they gave a damn about us as Black people, there's no way in hell that his wife is going to move in not one, but 2 mold infested. Like, we've seen mold before, but then there's mold that it will kill you. Like, she's moving in 2 apartments that have deadly mold. And these politicians haven't done or said, like, it doesn't sound like any of them have. It almost goes to the adage of there's no good cop. Well, in this situation, is there such thing as a good politician? Like, where are the politicians like your Adam Clayton Powell Jr.'s who actually gave a damn about the people that they serve? Where are those people at? But until those people rear their ugly heads, we have got to make a move as Black people. Like, this is cool. You know, they say, you know, the work actually goes on outside of the church. Well, the work actually goes on outside of Facebook too. We can't just, not saying this, you know, about anybody in particular, but I see a lot of people on Facebook, oh, we need to do this, we need to do that, but we actually need to get boots on the ground and actually do something.
But you know, we ain't gonna do a goddamn thing. I can sing it every day. In Houston, you have a smorgasbord of activists. This city has so many activists. Everybody's territorial, except for me. I go anywhere I want to go. But the thing is, when it's time for us to stand up, we don't do it. For whatever that reason may be, we don't do it. That brother called me, I'm gonna stand up. I'm gonna piss some folk off in the process because I don't care. We have to stop voting these people in. Sheila, tell Womack to call the man or something. You know, Turner, tell William Paul to call the man or something. All you at-large city council members. You know, and I'm gonna call out one of them, Sally Alcorn. You had your little anorexic ass over in our neighborhood begging for votes from the black community. I got a black man need some help. See me, I ain't got time to play that game. Say, man, put that pressure on their ass and don't ease up at all. This is why I'm telling all of y'all why these people don't like me. I ain't in the business of being liked. I'm in the business of helping my people. And you don't do nothing but use them. We gonna get you some help, brother. You got my word on that. I don't give a damn if I got to go to jail trying to get you some help. And Turner, come on, dude. It's obvious. It's obvious. Sylvester Turner don't give a damn about nobody except the gay community and the white community.
All right. Can I say something now?
And then to that point, you know, I don't know what it is you're gonna do, Gary, but imagine if everybody on here, now I live in Southern California, but believe you me, if I was in Houston, I'd be out there with you. Take one other person with you. Take one other person with you. And, you know, I'm just suggesting, but where does the landlord live? I'm sure he don't want to wake up call at 3 a.m.
The landlord, the person that owns the property, is Pastor, what's his name again, Spence?
Isaac Matthews.
Isaac Matthews. I love the Lord, he heard my cry. I'm coming to church Sunday, clown.
Wait a goddamn minute. Wait a minute now. Wait a minute. You mean to tell me this is the man of God? That's
yes,
gotta
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, for sure.
I'm gonna tell you how close it is. My son's best friend is related to him, so it's like this close. I've been crying for 3 years, man. All this man has to do is come help, man. They say they owe my wife no duty. And y'all see that y'all see that video? And guess what? That video is not of the apartment that's the investigation about. That's my other son's best friend. They're living in that apartment right now. While we on this show, they're breathing that video right now. On that property right now. That video has been aired for 9 months. I was trying to make it go viral for 9 months. I've been off the property since 17. I went 9 months ago to my son's best friend's house after his mother went to the emergency room, and I asked her, can I take her bench down and take pictures? And that's what we came up with. That video you just saw. That video don't even have nothing to do with me.
What's the name of the church?
Another apartment. That's another.
What's the name of the church,
ma'am?
What's the name of the church?
God's Grace Community Church.
Well, I hope they say they grace before I get there Sunday morning.
It's not right, man. All they had to do was come help.
God's Grace Community Church got a pastor who was doing that to the people. Ain't the pastor supposed to care about the people?
He don't care about us.
And you know what? I'm sorry. But they be throwing all kind of holy water and oil all over me by the time it's all said. No, we need to call the church and speak to what's his name? Pastor who?
Isaac Matthews.
So let me go and say this now, because you know people be upset when I say certain things. Pastor Isaac Matthews, you a bitch.
I co-sign that. All right, so that's the call to action, you guys. Call up on God's Grace and speak to whoever answers the phone and tell them before they hang up this brother's story and ask them what are they going to do about it, because we are not going to allow them to get away with that. And That's why I don't mess with the church. That's why I don't go to church, because you got these pastors sitting up in a pulpit, dressed in sheep's clothing. They're wolves, and they lie to the people. But they say your actions speak louder than words. So you telling these people in the church what to do to get to heaven, and you acting like a whole demon in the streets. That is awful.
He telling them what to do to get to heaven, but he taking your money to get his ass down to the casino.
So somebody, I think, put the cell number in the comment. You guys, please get that cell number and ring his black ass. I'm assuming he's black, right?
That's right.
Ring his ass off the hook.
And somebody also put the website up. Like I said, if you're one of those people that you don't really want to get involved like that, send an email. Just send an email and let them know you are watching and you are on his ass right now. Because one thing, when people are doing dirt that they don't want the negativity, because it makes them look bad, and eventually the news gets ahead of it, and it just becomes a creature of its own. So I will be making a call as soon as I get off this show. I will be sending an email as soon as I get off this show, and I will follow this up Monday and let them know that my publishing company out here is doing a story on Spence and this church.
For sure.
Well, I tell you what, final thoughts, Ms. Demetra.
My final thought is the power is with the people, regardless of what we say. We as Black people especially got to stop acting powerless. We do have power. There shouldn't be not man person in that pastor's church. Everybody should hear about what that pastor is doing to his tenants. And if they haven't heard, Gary, I'm not telling you to do it, but somebody get out there in that parking lot on first service, second service, and third service, and make sure everybody that goes in and out of that church know what kind of demon they got in the pulpit until he takes action. But we got to stop being comfortable with hearing that our people are dying and doing nothing about it. Like, we got to stop that shit.
Amen. You guys are going to see what group economics and group self-preservation really does. Because if our elected officials are not going to do their freaking job, we'll do it ourselves. Do you guys realize the George Floyd situation and stuff? We have done more in the last couple of months without electing one person, because we got in the streets and we said that is it. We delegitimized police forces. We did all of these things. So we have the power. Stop sitting there thinking I'm helpless. There's nothing I can do. Get together as a community. We wrote the book on how to do that all the way back in Africa, and we brought it over here. So now we're going to show you guys what community activism actually does, because nobody wants to be highlighted like that. And watch how fast we get some action going.
My final thoughts are simple, Spence. You are, when God gave you that lady, it was for better or for worse. So I applaud you for standing up for your wife and for your child. And I'm gonna be honest with you, man. When you called me, you called the right dude, because I don't give a fuck. And I'm gonna give them the business. So, Pastor Matthews, you better go into your study and you better have a long conversation with God. Because when I show up, you dealing with Lucifer, homeboy. And I ain't trying to, you better ask that Alan Patterson out in Fifth Ward what happened to him one Sunday morning when we surrounded his church. We ain't got no problem surrounding yours either, homie. So all them people, this is bigger than Spence, all them people that's still there in that complex, the OG is coming. I'm coming. Oh, I'm going to call the police. Well, bitch, what you waiting on? Your phone ain't working? Tell them to go and take me to jail before they start feeding folk. I don't want to get there when they ain't feeding people. I'm not scared. That's all I got to say about it. And it is what it is. So, with that being said, I think that we got to get ready for the elections. So we've already talked about it as a unit. We're going straight politics, man. We're going straight politics so that you guys can have the information that you need when you go into them voting booths in November. Now, if we cut your favorite politician up, don't be mad about it. And we're going to cut them up from Houston to Cali. We cut them up all over the country. And that's what it is, man. No more. Hold the vote. Don't vote for these people, man. If they can't serve us, don't vote for them. And that's all it boils down to. Say, man, I want to thank y'all for tuning in. I don't know what's wrong with this thing today, man, with the music. I want to thank y'all for tuning in. And as usual, you're the best audience in the world. But we finna go hard in the paint. So Wednesday night, we gonna be here tomorrow. Wednesday night, we gonna crank it up with the early ballot. You feel what I'm saying? Colleen Vera, who uncovered the massive cheating in the early ballot scheme in the city of Houston and Harris County, she will be on this show Wednesday night. We ain't cutting no more. I ain't cutting no slack. I know Demetrius, she nice some days. Donovan, he's really a nice guy. I don't give a fuck about y'all. I'm finna cut your asses up. And hopefully by Wednesday, I have my Make America Great Again cap. Because I am not dealing with you stinking Democrats no more. With that being said, we'll holler at you tomorrow.